do.
And by the power vested in me by the state of Illinois, security. I now pronounce you man and wife, and best friends for life.
See? Wasn't that romantic? But wait, did you notice something was wrong? Can you see it again, please?
Security.
I now pronounce you man and wife.
And best friends for life.
Ah! The man is described as an individual, while the woman, the wife, is described merely by her relation to her husband. Now, here's another example. Can you get your grades? Thank you. Are they addressed like this? To Mr. and Mrs. Juan de la Cruz? This is because our language reflects society's view of women as defined by their relationship with others and as independent agents. These are just a few of the many ways language affects your perceptions of gender. Language. Language is defined as the method of human communication, either spoken or written, consisting of the use of words in a structured and conventional way. In her book, Gendered Lives, Gender, Communication, and Culture, Professor Julia T. Wood said, "The language we learn and use both reflects and reinforces cultural views and values, including those about gender." Language organizes one's perception of gender by perpetuating stereotypes. Gender stereotyping is making accusations or assumptions about a specific gender, whether they are true or false. Women are emotional and weak. Men are rational and strong. Women who use direct and assertive language are tagged as bitches. Men who are gentle and emotional may be labeled as wimps or weak. Media, especially advertising, is largely responsible for the continued use of gender stereotypes. Take, for example, advertisements from the Philippines and other countries, where not just women, but also men are portrayed stereotypically.
Nabaha! Nagsaing! Yung mga plato ba, nahugasan mo na? Nakapaglaba ka na ba? Naku, yung basura, baka nakalimutan mo ni dapat lalangawin tayo! At saka alas 3 ha, huwag mo kakalimutan, susunod mo si Junior ha, siyempre, magmamadyong ako ha, tandaan mo, dapat mo... At habang sumusundo ka, huwag mong kalimutan mag-withdraw dahil mag-grocery tayo pagdating ko. At huwag mo rin kalimutan diligan ng aking...
Ano ba yan, pre? Ang lamya mo naman.
Ikaw kaya?
Ano? Anong sinabi mo?
Joe! Ang hina mo pag gutom ka. Mag-sneakers ka nga. Oh, game na?
Ayos na!
You're not you when you're hungry. Hungry?
Wow! Very sexy!
Kaya lang parang di bagay yung stripes sa kanya. Dapat bright colors.
Men should act like men.
Bakit?
Strong beer should truly be strong. Cold.
Hi, sweetie. I miss you.
Men should act like men. Strong beer.
Boto mo ah. Relax naman. Pare, sigurado kunti na. Lilipad na yan ah.
Men should act like men. Strong beer should truly be strong.
You know, I could go on and on about how these commercials drastically cement stereotypes against gender. But maybe we should hear what the experts have to say.
When you look at the society's language, okay, you would realize that most of the times the language is biased against women. And it's biased towards men. So that's the reason why you have male generic language. I mean, we naturally automatically think that surgeons are males or judges are males. But when we think about teachers, we think they're females. Or when we say cook, we think they're females. Or when we say domestic helpers, we automatically think they're females. So with nurses. So language by itself automatically gives you a bias for gender. And that's not really very good, because what happens is people start thinking that you can only be so much because you're a girl. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. If you look at the language of gender, in most languages, there are more things that women cannot do or not allowed to do as against things that men are allowed to do and can actually get away with. So that's how language gives you certain gender perceptions. Male generic language is the kind of language where people automatically attribute certain actions to the males. That's what I said earlier. The problem with male generic language is that it is not gender sensitive. A favorite example of mine is Senator Miriam Santiago. Okay? It's very particular if she's called Lady Senator, because she cannot understand why you have to put the descriptor lady in front of the senator, because does it mean that the senator is always male? So that's an example of a male generic language. And sometimes, words like bachelor, for them to make it female, they make it bachelorette, which is basically saying that you're just a subsidy or subfield of the bachelor. So male generic language, as a matter of fact, it is being avoided right now in most scientific writing because, especially for APA, because language for most academic journals has to be gender-free, gender-sensitive. Otherwise, if you keep using the male generic language, then you are in effect perpetuating the myth that it's only the males who seem to do stuff, or who seem to be the only ones capable of doing the things that are being done in their fields. So that's why you avoid saying male scientists, female scientists, women scientists, or gentlemen scientists, because scientists should incorporate already both genders, so technically beyond gender. So if you insist on using male generic language, then you are in effect saying that you want to perpetuate the myth that's only the males who can do things and not females.
Gender stereotyping in advertising is prevalent. We do it because it makes people or the audience understand the commercial faster. Among women, how are women portrayed in advertising materials? Basically, they are shown as the homemakers. They are the emotional ones. They are supposed to be the vainer ones as well, with paying close attention to their hair, to their looks, to their skin, scared to get old. Okay, so those are the stereotypes we do for women. And basically the same for men. Men are supposed to be portrayed as the stronger one, stronger than women physically. And then they're not supposed to be wimps. It's okay for them to drink. It's okay for them to have other women because that's what makes them more attractive. Okay, those are the stereotypes that we do for both men and women. Is it wrong? For advertising, remember that we're only given 6 or 30 seconds to say our message. If we are to educate and inculcate new values, that's way above our duties. Okay, so we maximize that by making the audience understand what we want to say. The reason why we do it is that we only reflect what we see in reality. Okay, so gender stereotyping, I don't know if it's acceptable, but I just know it's prevalent. It is commonly practiced. So what's the effect of gender stereotyping in advertising? It basically reinforces that is the norm. That's the image that men and women have, because that's what is portrayed in media. So even if there's already a role reversals between men and women, we still think that it's the traditional, because that's how they are portrayed in media. Examples like those commercials, as you mentioned, even called 45, that women are supposed to be behaving like men. No tears, no crying, no emotions. That's an example. When it's a product of beer, of masculine products, you do not show the soft side. You show the macho side. you show them as a man with many women running after them.
If it's gendered communication you're talking about, the difference, the most common characteristics of females' verbal communication is the use of tag questions. An example would be like, it was a nice movie, diba? See, the diba? You will rarely hear males say that it was a nice movie, diba? They will always say, pare, that was a good movie. Period. You don't have diba, pare. Because the tag question almost always, indicates tentativeness, which is very common among female conversations. Another thing that females are is they use qualifiers. Like instead of saying, I think the house was too big for that person, the female would most likely say, sa akin lang ha, in my opinion lang, parang masyadong malaki yung bahay para doon sa taong yon. That's what. And that's very tentative. Why? Because women are taught for relationships. They talk to connect, they talk to communicate. Men talk for status and for power. Okay? The worst thing that you can tell a woman, would you know what the worst thing that you can tell a woman is? Kayo.
You're ugly.
No, it's not. The worst thing you can tell a woman is, I do not love you anymore. Or, I never loved you in the first place. Because that's gonna hit her to where the relationship is. See? Meaning, the guy is telling the other woman, the woman, that there was no connection there in the first place. Which is what she wants in any relationship, the connection. Now, the worst thing that you can tell a male is something to do with his sexual prowess. Because that has something to do with his power and his ego and his status.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere, and their tears are filling up their glasses. No expression, no expression. Mad world, mad world.
Relying on stereotypes can lead us to overlook important qualities of individuals and to perceive them only in terms of what we consider common to a general category. This is especially true for males and females. Being critical of any form of media you consume and being aware of gender stereotypes would be instrumental in eliminating the society of any form of gender stereotypes. Because as they all say, all men and women were created